looking at? What are you looking at? How are you doing? It's been a little bit since you guys have seen Lex, and she's gotten so big. Look at how big she is. You just want food. She's just disappointed that there's no food coming. Anyways, today's video is not about Lex, so I apologize to those of you who want to see her. I'll do a video on her soon, but today's video is about my reptile room, specifically these two cages here. I've done some changes and upgrades and everything, so we're gonna talk all about that. So as I was saying, these are the two cages I really want to focus on in today's video, which is my Chihuahua's cage, this is Avery's cage, and my Leachiana's cage, Chaos's cage. Last time I was in here, Avery was in a smaller cage than this. He's recently got an upgrade because he's growing so fast, and I filmed that whole thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys his upgrade. And while I didn't upgrade the cage size for my Leachy, this size is still fine for him, I did do some changes and renovations in the tank, so I'll show you all of that. So you can see Avery right back there, and he's gotten to the point where he's like pretty well the full length of this little cage here. So this is only a 3-gallon because he was so tiny when I got him. He was around 4 grams and he is, I believe, 18.5 grams now. So he's definitely due for an upgrade. I find he looks even smaller on camera since he's farther back than it really does in person, but he's definitely due for an upgrade. So we're going to be getting him a 12 by 12 by 18 cage, just like this one. This is my Leachy cage, and I'm also going to get some new stuff to add in both of these cages, as well as my tree boa cage, because this cage, I hate it so much. It's like kind of a disaster. I mean, it works, but it just really needs some upgrades. So we're going to be getting some stuff to, you know, get a new cage for this one and then do some upgrades on all 3 of these cages. So let's go and head out to the store and see what we can find. Alright, so I just picked up the Exoterra. So as I mentioned before, this is the 12 by 12 by 18, so it's the mini tall. And then I also got a bag of forest floor and then just some crickets, but I mean, that's not very exciting. So now we're going to head to Michael's, like the craft store, because I want to get some fake plants there. Okay, so all of the fake plants I got are in that bag there. Once we get home, I'll give you guys a quick little look at everything I got. Some of it's going to be for my gecko cage and tree boa cage, but I also got a few things for my ball python cages as well. But now let's just head on home and then we will look at everything closer up. Alright, so I'm back home now with all of these supplies. So obviously you guys saw the cage that I got, and then there's some forest floor and cricket. But now let's take a look at all of the plants that I got. So first I want to talk about why I chose to go with fake plants, because those of you who are familiar with my channel probably know that in a lot of my cages I have like bioactive setups with live plants, and since some of the cages that I'm working on today are my Chihuahua gecko and my Leachiana's gecko, which are both very good candidates for, you know, live planted bioactive cages. Some of you may be wondering why I'm choosing to go with fake plants, and that's essentially just because these are only temporary cages. So obviously this here is a 12 by 12 by 18, and that's what my Leachiana's is currently in, but both my Leachiana's and my Chihuahua are like young geckos. They will still get quite a lot larger and need upgrades again in the future. So I don't really want to, you know, set up a fully bioactive cage in something like this just to have to upgrade it in a few months. So now that that is all done, let's go ahead and look at the plants that I got. One of the favorite plants that I found were these fake bromeliads here, which is really neat. This is the first time I've ever seen them. I did get 2 of them. There's another one in there somewhere, but I just really like these. I find they look fairly realistic, which I really like, and I think that they'll just make a nice little addition to the cages. It'll give them a nice pop of color with all of the other green foliage. So there's this one, and then here's the other one that I got. So I did get one red one and then one yellow one, and then I went and got this plant here. I don't really know what this is supposed to be. It kind of looks ficus-like, but I don't really know. And then here I got all of these fake grass-like plants. So there's actually 3 of them here, as you can see. And then here we have some more grass-like plants. So there's 3 different ones here. So this one is like a green and purple, so there's that one, and then these 2 are a green and white color, but they're all pretty well the same, just different colors. And then the last one I got is this more vine-like plant. So I plan on cutting it into smaller pieces and then I can use it in multiple different cages if I want. So there's all the plants that I got. So now that you guys have seen everything, let's go ahead and we're probably going to start setting up this cage now. So I brought my Leachianus cage in here also because, well, he's not getting a cage upgrade. I am still going to kind of be upgrading the inside of this. Like, I'm going to make some changes on the inside. So I brought his cage in to get a clean and some new decoration. And then I have this cage over here to set up for my Chihuahua. So we're gonna go ahead and get working on both of these cages now. Thank you. Thank you so much. So aside from those two cages up there, not a whole lot has changed since you guys last saw the reptile room. Pretty well everything is the same, except we can talk a little bit more about this cage now that I've put out my leopard gecko substrate video. So as you guys know, if you watched my last video, I set up a bioactive leopard gecko cage a few months back, and I've kind of been experimenting with different leopard gecko care over the past few months. So if you guys want to, you know, see more about my experiment and what my thoughts are on like loose substrate versus solid substrate, I'll go ahead and link that video in the description. I think it's definitely worth the watch, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to address that because this has never really been seen in too much detail in my reptile room videos before. So yeah, fun little cage there. And lastly, I have some other things I've never shown you guys in my reptile room before. Even though I've had them for a little while, I just always forget to talk about them when I'm doing reptile room videos. And those would be my isopods. So let's go ahead and take a look at these because I don't think I've shown them on my YouTube channel before. So these ones here are my powder orange isopods, and oh my god, these ones are breeding like crazy. There's babies everywhere in this enclosure. I haven't had them that long, so I mean there's not a ton of babies, but for the amount of time I've had them, I would say there's a fair amount. You can see a few of the isopods here, so they're really, really awesome. And yeah, so they just live in this bin here, so there's tons of different stuff in here. There's some cork bark, some cactus bark, different types of leaf litter and stuff, so tons of hiding places for them, and they like to eat the decaying leaves and stuff. You can see the babies all over here. There's so many of them. I love it. And let's take a look at these next ones. Who is in here? So these ones are my zebra isopods. Let's see. Oh, there's a few of them. So these are my zebra isopods. I've had these guys for a few months now too, but I haven't noticed them breeding at all yet. I haven't noticed any babies in the cage, but I don't think these ones were adults when I got them. So that's probably why I haven't seen any babies. Hopefully soon I'll get some babies because I definitely want them to start breeding. Once they start breeding some more, I would definitely like to start adding them into some of my vivariums because right now all of my bioactive cages only have dwarf white isopods in them, but I would definitely like to add some of the larger species into the cages as well. And then in here we have my dwarf white isopods. It'll probably be a lot harder to see these guys because they're so much smaller, and they tend to hide in the substrate more, I found. You can kind of see one on this piece of cork, but that's probably the best look you're gonna get. There is actually a lot of them in here. They're just so tiny and they like hide in the substrate, so it's kind of hard to see them. Then we have this bin here. This one here I believe is my powder blue isopods. Yes, there's one right there. Excuse me. Looks like we have a rogue mealworm beetle on the loose. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing? Sir. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Who do you think you are? Just free roaming my house like this? Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to stop it. Anyways, back to isopods. Yeah, so these are my powder blues. It would probably be good if I knew how to hold a camera. There's 2 of them there. I think there's 20 of them total. I've not noticed these ones breeding at all, but I did only get these guys a few weeks back. Ooh, there's one right there. Hello, isopods, sir. How are you doing? So yeah, I haven't noticed any babies in this one yet, but I did just get these guys fairly recently, so that's, I would say, to be expected. And then here are my dairy cow isopods. These guys also have been breeding. I've noticed a few babies throughout the cage. There's 2 of them right there. If it would focus. There we go. There's 2 dairy cow isopods. Yeah, so I only got these guys a few weeks back too, but when I got them, they like already had babies in their culture, so they came with some babies. So these guys have been definitely breeding. It's harder to find the babies. I find the babies hide a lot. They'll like burrow in the substrate more, but these dairy cows are really cool. Probably one of my favorites that I have. They're really big too, which I like. Why are you running? Little isopods are so cute. So those are probably the last ones you'll see. I do actually have one other type in here, which are my dwarf purples, but there's not that many of them, and they're very small and they burrow. I find these ones burrow a lot, so I can hardly ever find them, but there is some in here somewhere. That's about all I can say. Probably won't see them though. And then this other bin here is just my springtail culture. And then here I have superworms and mealworms. So that's what all of these bins are underneath here. I was just realizing like earlier today that I've never actually showed you guys what's in all of these bins. So there you go. There's isopods and mealworms and superworms and springtails. So that's pretty well everything I have to show you guys for this video. I do want to mention I'm doing a few more upgrades in this room, so I'm going to be hooking up a Mist King system to a lot of these cages. I have already started. It's not all hooked up yet though, so none of it's running, but I got all the nozzles in the cage. I'm going to have it hooked up to 6 cages. I'm going to have it hooked up to Avery's cage, Chaos's cage, Viper's cage, and then Dorito, Derek, and Mark's cage. So they're all going to be hooked up to a Mist King system. Hopefully I'll get that done later this week, so that'll be exciting. And I'm planning on doing a few other cage renovations and stuff. No major upgrades, but I have a ton of supplies out here, as you can see, that I need to go through and get in some cages and stuff. I never really like having spare supplies. Oh, I am accidentally zooming in. I am not one who likes to have spare supplies laying around because I just feel like if I have it, it should be in a cage. There's no reason for it not to be, so I'm going to go through all of this stuff and do stuff with it. A lot of this is actually going to be going in my Ackie monitor cage, which I'll be setting up soon. That's what most of this wood here is for, and some of the leaf litter and some of the cork, but of course not all of it. I have like water dishes and hides and everything, so I'm sorting through all of this tonight and then hopefully doing some upgrades again soon. So we will definitely check back in the reptile room shortly, and maybe I'll do a video on all like my reptiles who are out in my living room because I feel like they don't get as much love as the reptile room. A lot of you guys are really interested in my reptile room, so these guys don't get as much love, and they probably should because you guys probably want to see them. Anyways, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Do Do you guys like this outro? This method of outro? I hope it's fun. So yes, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and check out all of my social media. It will all be in the description below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all next time. Say goodbye, Lex. Goodbye.